For the Vinny Sideband Roundtable. They'll be hosted tonight by K6ZSR in Santa Barbara. So anybody else who wants to get on the list, come now.
K6TA, Whiskey 6, Delta, Quebec, and...
Kilo, Foxtrot 6, Quebec, November, Golf, KF6QNG.
Whiskey 6, Bravo, Romeo, Yankee.
Okay, we've got K6 ZTA, Vaughn, and W6DQ Dennis, and Lisa. Oops, let me write that down right. Lisa, KF6QNG, and W6BRY. Is that Brian?
Yeah, this is Brian in Valley Springs.
Okay. Very good. We got you down on the list. Anyone else?
WA9 JIB.
Okay, WA9 JIB.
November 6th, Whiskey.
Anybody else? Anybody else for the earlies for the Vinny Sideband Roundtable? Come now.
And 6WHK.
I'm willing to get to that. What do you think for?
Are you hearing that one?
Yeah, N6WHK. We got you, Phil, right?
QSL.
Okay, anybody else? Okay, well, I guess we're on our way. We've got several in here. Why don't we do a quick round? I know Kevin and your friends there were talking a bit, but Kevin from Texas, why don't you give us a few syllables and then turn it over to Doug, W6TR, and then to Chuck, N6AF, and then to Vaughn, and then back to me, Vaughn, K6ZTA. Back to me then. Go ahead, Kevin.
You have a real nice signal, Dave. This is WA6JKN operating remote from Tyler, Texas. And we'll be here until next month, sometime maybe early next month. It just depends on how things are going with our property acquisitions. It's quite a challenge, and some of it goes smoothly. You never can tell, depending upon certain things. And all right, well, anyway, I'm operating remote from Tyler, Texas. We got Tyler Rose, our neighbor. He's a retired football player. And of course, we're right next to Lindale, which is the home of Miranda Lambert. It's funny because Miranda's got her signs up there, and of course, the city is very proud of it. And they got the sign there that says the home of Miranda Lambert. I get a big kick out of that. Yeah, I went down there to Lindale, and my favorite place was the name of the storefront is Guitars and Guns. I couldn't believe it. It's a great place. Well, anyway, that's enough for me. Over to WT6R or something like that. Doug, I'm sorry for messing up your call. WA6JKN operating remote.
Okay, thank you. Yes, and if you will amend the list, it is WT6R. You had it right. It's a 2x1, not a 1x2. And this is Doug. I'm operating here from the ranch here in Fallbrook, California, northern Fallbrook, not on the southern end where AK6R is. And got the long dipole strung across the canyon, and I'm running the Swan 500CX tonight. And that's about it. And let's see, I think I am going to pass it to N6AF in Redwood City. Over to you, N6AF.
All right, very good. November 6th, Alpha Fox.
Morning.
And thanks for doing the earlies there. I appreciate that. And man, this is a fastest boot up for the Vintage Sideband group I think I've ever done. I got back from a late lunch and a stroll on the beach by Half Moon Bay with my wife, and I had forgotten about that it was Tuesday night. and it just hit me as I came in the door. So I literally ran down the stairs like an idiot, and then fired up the radio, which is the Atlas 210X. I've got a neat little added-on frequency counter, so it's got digital readout. Imagine that, and it's all solid state, which is pretty cool for a small mobile rig around 1976 or so. And I'm running it into a set of 4 MRF 421 BJTs, only running about maybe 350 PEP out max. So that's the rundown. And over to Vaughn, I believe, K6ZTA to take it in 6 a.m.
No, N6AF, K6ZTA. Yeah, thank you. And we're running the 100V tonight, and we've got the SB220 on the tail end of it here. So don't have anything else, but good signals. WJ6W, K6ZTA.
Okay, Vaughn, thank you. K6ZTA, WJ6W. A good copy, and everybody, beautiful night tonight. I hope it's a good one for Mike. He's hosting K6 edits are tonight. And, well, in about 10 minutes or so, he probably will be around. He said he would take it at 6:45. So I'm taking the earlies for tonight. Anyone else who wants to get on the list for the Vintage Sideband Roundtable, come out. Well, it's a short list so far. Anybody for the Vintage Sideband Roundtable, come out. Okay, well, let's continue down the list a little. Dennis, W6DQ. Awesome signal when I heard you there, as well as, of course, Lisa. Dennis, turn it over to Lisa, and then to Brian, W6BRY, and then to Bob, WA9JIB, and back to me. Go ahead, Dennis, W6DQ, WJ6W.
Why, thank you, Dave, and good evening to you, WJ6W, and the group here, W6DQ. You're in Inyo Kern, and nice day today out here. I should mention, I'm not going to hold it long, as I know we're getting close to the witching hour there. But yeah, Mike's up on Zoom. I can see him. We've been waving at each other and saying hi. So he's out there monitoring. I had the horizontal loop up last week and was using that last Friday for the Collins net. Used it for the exercise we were doing on Saturday, which was the shakeout, and I was the HF regional network coordinator, basically running the HF net. Wednesday afternoon, we had some high winds, and the whole thing came down. So about 2 hours ago, I finished putting it back. Well, 3 hours ago, I finished putting it back up in the air, and so we're on the loop now, and it's working really well. So I'm real happy with it. It's at least one full S unit quieter than the inverted V. So one full wavelength on 160 meters. Dave, thanks for taking the earlies. You got a great bodacious signal up here as always. And I'm going to hand it over to Lisa, KS6QNG in the group, W6DQ.
Okay, thanks, Dennis, and good evening to everybody on the early list. Thank you, Dave, for taking check-in. Mike later is going to be hosting the roundtable this evening. Looking forward to it, as always. So with that, I'm going to send it over to Brian. W6BRY from KS6QNG.
Yeah, okay, thank you, W6BRY here. Hopefully I'm heard through the tuners. I'm up in Valley Springs, and a lot of familiar voices on here tonight, so hello to you and some new ones too. I'm on the TS830 Kenwood tonight, just because I was too lazy to put something else out here. and I've been playing with an SB301 that was one that was just under the bench, and I happened to see it and grabbed it today, and I spent about 2 hours getting it all fixed up, and I was about to put a 401 with it, but it just was too much work to get it done before the net started, so it's over on the bench waiting. I'm going to pass it over to, I think it's WA9GIB, but I probably got that wrong, from W6BRY.
Okay, Brian, W6BRY, and the earlies, it's WA9JIB. I'm going to say something real nasty here. I was going to wait until the lids, who are tuning up on frequency, stop, but evidently they have stopped. But let me check. Yes, they have stopped. Hopefully they were not part of our group. Whoever they are, it's called a VFO. You tune down or up 2 or 3 kcs. You do your tune up there, and then you come back to frequency, and it won't be that different. Your tune up will still be just fine. So I don't like to be negative, but there's absolutely no reason to tune up on frequency while people are trying to whoever was doing that, that's JIB's opinion. Okay, the name is Bob here in La Cañada. Other than that, the band sounds great tonight. I got the RF gain, they have gain, both at about 5. I love to turn the RF gain down, and that whatever noise there is, kind of cuts that down, and beautiful fidelity on this 115 into the R48 speaker. So, yeah, nice day, cool, just beautiful lately here, autumn weather in La Cañada. And I have a friend who's coming by. He was going to be by right now, but he said no, not till 7, so I want to show him the rig. Hopefully he'll be here at 7, and if I haven't made my transmission by then, I might ask to be put a little further down on the list so he can see what the transmitted like on amateur radio. So hopefully he'll be here by 7 or before. Everybody sounds great. Vaughn, you're particularly strong. Dennis and Lisa, very strong. Looking forward to a good night. Probably a bunch more people waiting to check in. So let's all behave ourselves and back to net. WJ6W, WA9JIB. W6YT. And then Y6L. And 4DLA. There you go.
Take that on me, please. Okay, let's see, I got 3 there. And thank you, Bob, for the message on tuning up too. The tuner uppers were probably at least 2 kcs down. I'm noticing on my modern rig here. So if they're tuning up, I would suggest go at least 5 kcs up or down to be out of our pass bands. Anyway, I've got W6YET George and NY6L. Just a second. NY6L, J, and then we've got N4DLA. Anyone else who wants to get on the vintage sideband roundtable, come out.
Let's see, but I want man out for us, so that helped me a lot.
Did I miss anybody? I had my volume turned down.
Well, no, young boys.
Okay, I guess not. So let's see. Mike, K6ZSR, it's getting to be almost 1:45. Are you around?
Yeah, here I am, Dave. If you're ready, I'm ready.
Okay, Mike, good signal. I'll give you the list then if you're ready, and hopefully we'll get some more maybe. We've got WA6JKN, that's Kevin, and he's remote from Texas. Then we've got next WT6R, that's Doug, and after Doug, we've got N6AS Chuck, and then Vaughn N6ZTA. After Vaughn, we have Dennis, W6DQ, Dennis, W6DQ, and then Lisa, KF6QNT. How we doing? Are we good there, Mike?
Yeah, you might want to just slow it down a tad, but I'm good. Go ahead.
Okay, what's the last one you got? I forgot who I said last.
KF6QNG, Lisa.
Oh, yes, of course. Okay, my marks are all messed up here. After Lisa, we've got W6BRY. That's Brian. W6BRY. And then after Brian, we've got Bob, WA9JIB, Bob in La Cañada, WA9JIB. And then, just a moment here. Okay, that's a little better. Okay, after Bob and La Cañada, we've got N6WHK Phil, N6WHK. And after Phil, we've got W6YEC George, George W6YEC. And then we've got NY6LJ. That's NY6LJ. And then finally on my list we have N4DLA, and I should know your name, but it escapes me. N4DLA. Are we okay, Mike?
Yes, got them all. And, I don't think I have DLA's name also. So, DLA, are you on the frequency?
Yeah, name is Matthew. I'm in the city of Orinda, about 15 miles east of San Francisco. Over.
Oh, yeah, I remember now. It's Matthew in Orinda?
Roger.
Okay, let me get you. I'm getting ready, by the way, to. Wait, let me see. I think that's N4DLA. I'm getting ready to do the next. What do you call it? Database printout of all of the stations that check in here, Matthew. So I'll be sure that you're included in that in the future. We won't forget your name like we've been doing. So sorry about that, Matthew and Orinda. So there you have it. And I've got the list now. Where would you like to be inserted there? Over.
Oh, my goodness, somewhere in the middle, wherever. No, it doesn't matter.
Okay, I'll put you into the second group. How's that?
Very good, thanks.
Okay, very good. Let's see. Well, the old time clock on the wall here, it's a little early to start. We're supposed to be starting at 7 o'clock. But the old analog clock on the wall says 6:49. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stand by and see if there's any other check-ins that would like to be put on the list. K6ZSR.
No, Mike, I'm sorry. I thought it was 6:45. I misread.
150, I think it was. Before TSH.
No, that's fine. I think you did turn it over to me at 6:45. But that's not a problem. That's not a problem at all. Maybe we'll just start a little earlier today. We've got a pretty good list going, so it's not cut in stone. But anyway, let me get one more last try. Is there anyone that would like to be put on the check-in list for the Vintage Sideband Roundtable? Come now, K6ZSR. Okay, hearing nothing. I think we're going to go ahead and start it out. Maybe we should start taking the earlies at 6:30 and quitting like at 6:50 probably would probably be better, even 6:55. Yeah, we'll see. So let me get you on the list here. Hold on 1 second here. Okay. WJ6W. Okay, we've got you right after Lisa. So there you have it. Okay, very good. So welcome everybody to the Vintage Single Sideband Roundtable. This is Mike, K6ZSR, in Santa Barbara, California, on the Central Coast.
20 years.
And I'm the host for this evening's roundtable. And tonight, the station I'm using is a Cosmophone 35 into an amplifier, and currently peaking at about 1,000 watts. So there you have it. And looks like conditions are good, by the way. Everybody's strong. I forgot to comment on that. So there you have it. We meet every Tuesday at around 7 p.m. with an informal gathering at 6:30 p.m. Pacific time to record an early check-in list that will be played to the host station for the roundtable this evening. This roundtable meets on or about 3895 kilocycles, plus or minus. You might try 3892, depending on whether the frequency is occupied or QRM is present, or there's some variations in our vintage VFOs. The check-in at this roundtable, you must be using a radio that was manufactured in or before 1980. Or be homebrewed with equivalent technology. Transistor tube, hybrid radios are all welcome as they were manufactured in 1980 or before. However, if you are a first-time check-in, you may use a modern radio for the purpose of inquiring about joining this group and obtaining a vintage radio. This group is a great resource for finding and repairing vintage equipment. We encourage vintage radio newcomers. New check-ins will automatically be moved to the top of the list. We also have a website at groups.io/G/vintage SSB with many station photos and files regarding vintage equipment. Our group also has an email reflector. Now, if you'd like to access the website and get on this reflector email, then just send an email to me, Mike at K6ZSR.com. We also host a live video simulcast via Zoom, which we're on there right now. And the simulcast is active during the roundtable sessions. To join these Zoom sessions, just send an email to Dennis, W6DQ. And you can look up Dennis at on QRZ.com. And he'll provide you with an ID and a password and the easy instructions on how to join us. So you can then start enjoying seeing other videos and chat sidebars going on simultaneously with the roundtable. It's a lot of fun. You might also, when conditions are bad, consider accessing the KFS web SDR, or you could select multiple receivers to monitor around the north there. We have a discussion topic we call the question of the evening at each roundtable. You are invited to participate as part of your check-in. Tonight's question of the evening will be announced shortly, and if you have any questions for further future questions of the evening, please email them to mark@eastsedona.net. Now, at the end of each roundtable, there is a Golden Cup Award that is given to roundtable members, a roundtable member who is singled out because of some outstandingly or interesting or funny, informative comments made during their check-in. Before we begin, are there any announcements only of interest to vintage sideband radio? Come now. Okay. So I'd like to make an announcement. I'd like to thank Dave for doing that fine job there, Dave, on taking the earlies and most efficient. It really helps. So here's the question of the evening. Many of us have multiple vintage radios. How do you do the switching of your antennas, speakers, key lines, microphones to these various radios? Do you use any computer control, or do you just switch in and out these little mini relays? How do you do it? Or maybe you just use the mechanical method and just go up and unscrew the 239 in the back and plug in another one like I've been doing lately. That gets boring. And unless I start losing some weight, I'm getting a hard time getting behind all of this equipment lately. But anyway, so there you go. So we want to know that. So if you could just please briefly describe that in 2 minutes or less, that would be appreciated. So we're going to start at the top of the list, and we're going to take a remote station, I think in New Mexico. Could be Texas, though. Well, anyway, you'll let us know on that. No, it's Texas. That's WA6JKN, Kevin. And Kevin, send it over to Doug, WT6R. Doug, over to Chuck, N6AF. Chuck, over to Vaughn, K6ZTA. And Vaughn, send it back to me. So there you go. WA6JKN and the Vintage Sideband Roundtable, K6ZSR.
Yeah, Mike, you bumped your VFO.
What was that about a VFO?
Yes, sir. I said you bumped your VFO down about 50 hertz slow, but not a big deal.
Okay, Alex, trying to check in.
That's K6L, Jim.
Give me some chatter. I did bump out. Bump it. Sorry about that. Give me some chatter. I'll tell you.
Okay, I'm just about on it. 1212, November 6th, Alpha Fox. And by the way, Skip in Santa Monica is checking in. Not a big deal, Mike. N6AF, you got it now? Over. No. So you actually went way down now. You're probably 1.5 kilohertz low.
Way down in northeast. Okay, how about I just go ahead and make the transmission here, and maybe Mike, you can move to my frequency. I should be close to 3895. Let me break and make sure I'm not doubling. And Mike, if that's okay with you, just let me know if you want me to continue with the transmission.
Okay, yeah, we need to carry on now. And so everybody zero beat me wherever I'm at. And let's go ahead with the net. Go ahead.
Okay, Mike, I'm copying you just fine. Big signal, very big signal. Modulation sounds great. Okay, this is WA6JKN. I'm operating remote from Tyler, Texas. And what is it? It's pretty late here, 9 o'clock. Just turned 9 o'clock here. All right, let's see. In terms of the antennas, I've got the various combinations. I'm just going to go through them briefly. In the interest of time, one system, my primary shack has a computer-controlled selection of antenna 1 and antenna 2. Antenna 1 covers 2 bands, 40 and 75 meters. Antenna 2 covers 6 bands, and that's a hex beam. So that's a total of 8 bands in primary shack number 1. In terms of switching the radios in that primary shack, I use mechanical bird switches. Those are the plunger type, and they're UHF. They're pretty good little switches. All right. In the secondary shack, I can't remember the name of the switches, but I think it's Astron, and they're 6th position, and one is, and they're used for selecting transmitters. I have quite a few stations in my secondary shack. and I use the mechanical switching system to select which radio goes to the antenna distribution system. And that's all I'm going to say about it. It works for me. Everything's labeled. Makes it real easy. So there's my contribution on answering the question. Boy, we just can't live without these switches. It sure makes our lives easy. Over to Doug, who also has a pretty big signal. KT6R. I hope I have that right, Doug. WA6JKN, operating remote from Tyler, Texas.
Well, thank you, WA6JKN. You were close. It's WT6R, Whiskey Tango 6 Radio. And yeah, this is Doug from Fallbrook, northern Fallbrook, up in the Duluth area. And I am on my Swan 500 CX radio that I got from Rocco, of course. Where else would I get it? And for me, it rides on a stainless steel culinary cart, something you would see in a modern kitchen. And it has everything that it needs to have on that cart, except it doesn't stay hooked up all the time. So when I want to use it, I just roll it over and SO239 it into place. And then I start letting it warm up for a while. It takes a while for it to stabilize on the frequency. Sometimes I zero beat it with a modern radio to make sure that I'm on there, and I can, hear myself. The antenna is a canyon crosser, I call it. It's a full-size 160-meter antenna, about 153 feet on each leg, and it's fed with a homebrew open wire feeder down to a tuner at the picnic table underneath the antenna. And so, other than that, hopefully I'm getting out. Everybody seems to be doing good, and I'm just going to say today is kind of like an anniversary day for me. I think a lot of you remember I'll call it the shindig down at KOI's place in Del Mar. I don't know how long ago that was. It was probably close to 6 months, but I got a haircut just before I went to that shindig, and today I went to town and got a haircut. First time since then. I don't know what happened. I just kept putting it off, thinking maybe I'd catch COVID or something. But anyway, I said I got a haircut, and now I can check into the vintage sideband net again. So that's my answer. Good to hear everybody. And I will say this band is just absolutely quiet. Beautiful conditions tonight. So let me pass it over to my friend Chuck in 6 a.m. This is WT6R.
Everything's done. All right. November 6th Alpha Fox. Thanks, Doug. And I got a bit of a haircut today myself. I own a lot of Microsoft stock, but that's way off topic. It'll grow back. Let's say that. Whatever. So Chuck in Emerald Hills, Redwood City, and I am running the Atlas 210X through a very simple double position antenna switch into my homebrew solid state amp. So I'm segueing right away into the question of the night. So generally I have a modern rig as one selection. In this case it's my K3, or I can switch to the vintage radio selection port. And that tonight is the Atlas 210X. And I will just change cabling over to the KWM2 on Friday nights. And sometimes I use the KWM2 as well on this. But it's that simple. So basically modern rig versus whatever my this week's vintage rig is. Flip the switch. The amplifier control cable over to the vintage rig of choice. Now I wanted to answer you by telling you that I cut a big window in the wall behind my ham desk, and added on another room in the backyard, and designed a 15-foot diameter gigantic vintage radio boat anchor Lazy Susan, and I can just reach out and turn it like the wheel of fortune, and it automatically switches the coax and the amp control. But we're not quite there yet. We've just got a switch and a couple of hands here to move the control cable over. All right, with that, over to K6ZTA. Take it away, Vaughn, in 6AF.
All right, Chuck. Yeah, thank you. Boy, that's quite a Lazy Susan with all your radios on it. You just spin the wheel and take a chance. No. Well, yeah, this is K6ZTA, Woodland Hills, and the handle is Vaughn, Victor Oscar November, and we're running the Central Electronics 100V tonight into the Heathkit SB220, and it's going up to an inverted V antenna. Although that horizontal loop that you have there, Dennis, sounds very interesting. Very interesting. I like to get a little less noise on the band. That would be useful. That would be good. So anyway, to answer the question of the evening, I have one coax switch which switches between the coax between the ICOM, and then it also has a position for the 100V, and then it has a position for the Viking 2. And then on the Viking 2 line, there's a switch that goes between the Viking 2 and the ICO 753. And then on the main antenna, the antenna itself, I can have one of four antennas on the coming down from the tower with a remote switch. I think it's the Ameritron, remote switch, and it's switching the four antennas to the different to all those same different radios. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it, and we'll turn it back to you, Dave. WJ6W K6ZTA.
Okay, very good. Vaughn K6ZTA and the group K6ZSR. Hey, Vaughn, how do you switch your speaker and your microphone, your push to talk, and all of that stuff?
Well, okay, I have to admit, this is pretty crude, but I don't switch speakers, and I don't switch microphones. I just have a lot of microphones and a lot of speakers. Over.
Okay. That's what I'm interested in. How do you do that with multiple radios and switch the speakers? You use the Armstrong method. I get that. And that's what I'm currently doing, but I want to get away from that. Okay, but very good, Vaughn. Very nice signal, by the way, and very good evening to you. And Chuck, I like that Lazy Susan. But how do you switch on that Lazy Susan? I missed that. Over.
Well, I'm actually have Vanna White living here now, much to the chagrins of my lovely bride, and she reaches out, and she's very adept at giving that a good tug. Over.
Okay, well, I gotta get me one of those, or I gotta train one of those, I think. Okay, Chuck, thanks for that. And a very good evening to you and to Doug. Big signals and nice sound in 500 Charlie X-ray there, Doug.
Good job.
Very nice. Okay, before before I go on to the next floor, let me see. Let me turn the page and get ready here. I'd like to know if there's anybody else that would like to be put on the vintage sideband list here for check-ins. Come now, K6ZSR.
Okay, 6LGL, Skip in Santa Monica.
Pretty good.
Okay, we have Skip. Are there any others?
I'm not keep one in. They say there's over 100 channels in this metro.
Okay, hearing none. And very good evening, Skip. Hearing none, we're going to go to the next page here. And wait a minute here. I think I made a mistake already. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Okay, next is W6DQ. Dennis? Dennis, of course, turn it over to Lisa. And KF6QNG. Lisa, if you'll turn it over to Dave, WJ6W. Dave, over to Brian, W6BRY. And then Brian over to Bob, WA9JIB. And then Bob, send it over to me. So, again, I'd like to repeat the question of the evening. Many of us have multiple vintage radios. How do you switch antennas, speakers, key lines, that should be, and microphones to these various radios, especially if you have like 4, 5, or 6 vintage radios. So, do you use the Armstrong method, or do you have something more esoteric, or what gives here? So, over to you, Dennis, W6DQ and the Vintage Sideband Roundtable, K6ZSR.
All right, Mike, thank you very much. K6ZSR and the Vintage Single Sideband Roundtable. This is W6DQ, Dennis and Inyo Kern. And where it is currently 58 degrees. Yikes, it's getting cold. It's winter's on the way. But, yeah, you sound good tonight, Mike. The Cosmophone sounds great. Albeit you were a little off frequency for a little bit, but you got back. Good to hear that. Good question tonight. We are running the KWM 380 again this week with the Alpha 87. So, and that's going out to the full wave 160 meter loop at 50 feet that I just got back up in the air this afternoon after the wind took it down over the weekend. And that seems to be working pretty well. I'm pretty happy with that antenna. It is noticeably quieter than the inverted V by about an S unit. So if I switch between them, and speaking of switching between them, I have a pretty elaborate system for switching antennas here. And this is kind of a prototype for something I talked about once before, which was I'm working on a matrix switching system for my antennas, radios, and what have you. I've tried a bunch of different things, and I'm ending up having to build my own system, and it's because of the expanse here. We're in a fairly wide area, fairly large area here. A lot of radios, a lot of operating positions. So having to set something up to be able to switch between everything. We've got right now 4 HF antennas coming into the shack. Oh, 5. Sorry, I added the loop. That's 5. And so I have to be able to switch those 5 antennas between multiple rooms and multiple desks within the room. And multiple radios on the desk. So at the desk level, where I am right now with the KWM 380, I've got the CX11A and the KWM 380 sitting in front of me, along with my Flex 6700. And I've got a little manual patch bay that I just switch between those. I switch the RF lines and I switch the amp keying line with the patch bay. And that works as a coaxial patch bay, like a trumpeter patch bay. It works really well for that. And I just have to remember to switch them back and forth. That goes out to a switch that then selects the feed coming over to this patch bay.
and I have multiple alpha delta 4-position switches along with a bunch of B and W rotary switches to be able to select which antenna goes to which desk. And I'm able right now, the way it's set up, I can put 2 radios on the air simultaneously on 2 different bands, and that's kind of cool that I can do that. But I've got 6 of those alpha delta 4-position switches, and I've got 6 B and W 5-position switches, and I've got 3 more of those waiting in the wings to go into the rack. And that's the rack that's sitting next to me here. You can see on Zoom. If I switch the camera, you can probably see a little better. But that's the rack up there behind me up here. And there's each antenna has a dedicated tuner. And the tuners are the lube is on an MN2700 Drake tuner that works really nice all the way down to 160. And I've got a PAL-Star that ties into my 20-meter Yagi. Well, it's switchable. I can switch the PAL-Star, switch between the PAL-Star and another Nye Viking MB5A. I've actually got 2 MB5As in the rack. So I use the PAL-Star to switch between antennas, and then I can switch over. If I don't want to use the PAL-Star, I can switch over to the MB5s with one of those. Actually, that's just a 2-position alpha delta switch. So yeah, we got a pretty elaborate system, and that's all going to get replaced sometime with a remote-controlled matrix switch that's going to be modular. I can expand it, add more relays to it, and it'll be remote-controlled from each position using my good old Stream Deck, which is sitting here in front of me, that you can also see in the video from above. And that Stream Deck, this little guy right here in front of me, will be used to control the antennas and lock out. Once I select an antenna, it locks out the other antennas so nobody else can use them at any of the other desks. So that's the system here. And what I like about the design is that eventually, when I get the thing finished, it's totally expandable and modular. So if I want to add another set of radios, I just plug more modules in and do a cable drop at the desk, and I'm done. So that's it, Mike. And great question, and really curious to hear more this evening from others on the roundtable. So thanks, Dave, for taking the early check-ins, and Mike, thank you for hosting this evening. And I'm going to hand it over to Lisa, KF6QNG, and the Vintage Single Sideband Roundtable, W6DQ.
Okay, well, it's a good thing I don't have an answer for the question this evening because,
2 minutes.
Anyway, just wish everyone a great evening and hope everyone is staying safe. So with that, I think it goes over to... Oh, that's right. So over to Dave, WJ6W from KF6QNG.
Okay, Lisa, thank you. KF6QNG, WJ6W here in Tarzana, California. Tonight I'm running the KWM2 and 30L1. And now I'm running the ICOM 7300 in 30L1. And now I'm running the Drake TR7 on 30L1. So back now to the KWM2, demonstrating my switching system here. So that's in full answer to the question. I built a switching system 20 years ago, and I've been modifying it every couple of years since then to add things, take things out, make things different. And for those on Zoom, I'm pointing to the box right now, which is hard to see, but this is the box that does all that. And it controls, the current version controls 3 6x1 remote relay type antenna switches. 2 of them select up to 8 rigs. I have 8 rigs. Well, the box, I've modified the box so I can control up to 8 things. So that's the first 2 switches. And then the third one is for selecting antenna or dummy loads. And let's see. So the switching is I select the transmitter on a rotary switch, and that switches the PTT to the transmitter, and then the transmitter output antenna closure, or whatever you call it, that is switched then to the 30L1, so that it, that follows the selection of the transmitter. Then for the receivers, I just sum all the speaker outputs together to a resistive network, so that the one I'm listening to is I just turn the volume up on the one I want to listen to, and I can also parallel the antennas all together if I want to, one at a time by switches, so that I can be listening simultaneously on more than one receive radio, or a radio in the receive mode. And I find that useful sometimes. You kind of have to be careful because paralleling the antennas, pairing on the radios onto an antenna can drop, will load down the impedance and drop the level that you receive. But, for nets like this and stuff, it doesn't really bother. But if you see that happening and I have a weak signal, I just narrow it down to one receiver antenna connected to the antenna. Let's see. Yes, as far as the microphones, I run the microphone through an audio processor, and then it goes to a distribution amplifier, an audio distribution amplifier with each output has a level control on it, and then it goes to each individual radio, transceiver, transmitter, even my AM rigs. And if it needs to be converted to mic level, I have pads in line for each radio, and if the impedance has to be changed, like for KWM2 or something, I have a matching transformer. So for those on Zoom, Mike, I plan to upgrade mine also and replace my control system, but I've got this one working about the way I like it. So far in my new control system, I built the control panel, and I'll show it to Mike. And I built some of the logic, but I don't know. This works pretty well, so I'm not real incentivized to finish it yet, but I will one of these days. Okay, I'm probably over my 2 minutes, and I'm going to send it then to Brian, W6BRY, WJ6W.
Okay, good evening, W6BRY here in Valley Springs. My name is Brian, and I don't get on here too much, but I try to get on here when I can. It's really nice to be here tonight. I'm on a TS830S that is, man, I sure like this radio. I've got, anybody who knows me knows I am kind of obsessed with old radios, and I've got pretty much a bunch of piles all around my shop here of radios stacked up everywhere. I've got the big boat anchors at the bottom and the lighter ones at the top, and you can just barely squeeze through here. I built a desk about maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and I have really no switching capability. That would be something that would be really nice here, but I generally just have one radio set up at a time, and I'll run that radio for maybe 2 or 3 weeks or whatever, and then when one gets finished on the workbench, I will take the existing one, like this Kenwood, will probably go back on the stack somewhere and be carefully wrapped up with all the accessories and all that, and I'll put, I think next up here is a S-line setup that I've been waiting to put up here. But no way to switch anything other than an antenna switch to select a dummy load. And I do have a piece of heliax that runs over to my office all the way on the other side of the house, so that I can get hook the feed line to my beam. But right now I'm on an off-center fed dipole that's at a palm tree. So that's about it. Yeah, nothing fancy here. Just whenever it hits me, the fancy of what I feel like running that week or that day or that month or whatever, I will throw it up here on the bench, and I've got usually a matching amplifier and speaker and everything that goes with that radio from the period, and I'll set it all up and run it for a while. So that's all I've got. Over to Bob, WA9JIB from W6BRY.
Okay, Brian, W6BRY and the roundtable, it's WA9JIB. Bob over here in La Cañada. First things first, I got a text from Art, KP7LOQ in St. George, Utah. Wanted to be on tonight, but he's feeling under the weather, and he's feeling really lousy, so he's going to make it. But he passes along his regards. If we go back and hear Kevin again, who is Miranda Lambert? I have no idea who that is. Probably I'm the only one who does. Okay, so again, Bob, Bravo Oscar Bravo is the name. La Cañada is the location. And for those who may not know, a couple, uncommon calls on tonight, kind of on the foothills of the San Gabriels, facing south, of course, in the LA Basin, kind of at the northwest corner of Pasadena. My rig tonight starts with a Kenwood MC50 microphone, and it goes in from there. It's all American. Goes into my Helicopter's HT32B, B for Bob. It's paired with the SX115 receiver, which they were designed to go together. The speaker is the R48. Now I do go through an MFJ tuner, and I go up to an antenna. That's an inverted B hanging off the 35-foot mast attached to the side of the house. Okay, and on to the question. Well, I have 3 operating positions in the spreader amongst 2 or 3 rooms here, because by the time I got back into ham radio, I used my den for other hobbies, trains. So, but at the main site, which is where my Yaesu FT101E station is, I have a wood box that came from the table at George's W68CX's one year. And in that box is 2 5-position B and W rotary switches, coaxial switches. So one of those switches between my 2 antennas, one of which is the 80-meter dipole I've told you about, and coming off the other side of the mast, in fact a little bit like Guy's, is my trap dipole for the higher bands, 40, 20, 15, and 10. And with help from a tuner, I can put out a signal on the fork bands that way too. So none of it particularly resonant. Anyway, so how do I distribute once I'm in the house here? So one coaxial switch switches between the 2 antennas. The other switches between my 3 operating positions, one of which is the FT101E site, the main site. And also I have run a coax line over to the desk I'm sitting at now, which houses the 32B and the SX115. Also on this desk is a Yaesu station I picked up from Dennis this spring, 757, and I have a coax switch on this desk that switches between the helicopter station and that Yaesu station. And finally, the third rig position, which goes back to the rotary switch on the main box, the main panel, is where I have the Valiant and the HQ129 X-ray. I never switch speakers amongst different receivers. I leave each setup the way it is. Same for microphones, same for keys. If I want to use an extra receiver, which I sometimes do, I bring it to the operating position and just hang a long wire or not so long wire off of it. So I only really switch the main antenna line, either to the antennas or to the 3 operating positions. So that's how we do it here at WA9JIB. Back to you, Mike, K6ZSR, WA9JIB.
Okay, Bob, very, very nice. Big signal, by the way, Bob. Nice sounding there on the HT32B of the WA9JIB K6ZSR returning. Okay, very good. And okay, on your setup there on the antenna switching, and I think you said it was three positions. Dave, does that 20-year-old box that you built, does that handle muting and stuff like that? Or you mentioned something about a resistive network there or something. I didn't quite follow that. Over.
Okay, Mike. Yeah, I don't use muting at all. That gets too complicated, at least for me, because each radio is kind of different, or a lot of them are different. So I don't mute anything, but I accept the speaker that I'm listening on. So the speaker is muted when I go into transmit. Therefore, there's no audio. There's no audio coming out of the radios. At least doesn't go through the speakers. And then when I do to listen to all the radios, each radio's speaker output or mic audio output goes into one leg of a resistive network, a combiner that I built up. Very simple. And then that goes to the speaker.
Okay, very good. Gosh, I've never heard of that being done before. Maybe in another conversation off of the round table, I'd like to maybe see a little drawing of that, Dave. It sounds kind of neat. It sure does. And so my hat's off to you. How many radios are you switching there with that old unit?
I can do up to 8 radios. And the combining network, Mike, it has some drawbacks. This KWM2 doesn't drive too well on the load with the resistive network, and I've never been able to improve it. It's satisfactory, but it isn't the greatest.
Okay, very good, Dave. Thanks for all of that information. Very nice. Very nice. And good evening to you, Lisa. Big signal. And by the way, Lisa, you really modulate well on that mic. And so, boy, I could hear you in the other room. Yeah, sounds really good, Lisa. Very good. And Dennis, boy, just too complicated. Patch controlled, different rooms. Oh my goodness. How do you sleep at night? I've been thinking about all this stuff. But anyway, my hat's off to you guys. That's for sure. And sounds good. So thanks for sharing that with us. Okay, I'm going to take the next 4, and then I'm going to stop after that for any additional check-ins. Okay, so here we go. Phil, you're on board here, N6WHK, and then turn it over to George, W6YEC, and George, turn it over to Jay, NY6L, and Jay over to Matthew in Orinda, N4 Delta Lima Alpha. So there you have it. Go ahead and take it away, Phil. N6WHK and the Vintage Sideband Roundtable K6ZSR.
K6ZSR and 6WHK. Picking it up. Well, I have 2 operating positions here. On this table here, I have a Heathkit HW12, and I have a Swan Delta, and I have a coaxial switch, which switches between the 2 radios to the antenna. I'm running a coaxial dipole antenna, and it's in my inverted V configuration. And to switch the amp between the 2 radios, I have a toggle switch here, a double pole, double throw, which switches the amp into whichever radio I'm using. The only thing I do is watch the voltage, the watt meter and SWR meter. I have a tuner over on the other table, and this goes through that tuner, but I don't use the tuner. I just run it directly to the coax and right directly to the coaxial antenna. So that's the operating station here. The other table has a monitor rig on it, and it also has my AM rig on it. My 2 rigs for the AM. So with that, over to you, George, my neighbor, W6YET, and thanks for the help in 6WHK.
Yeah, okay, Phil, real good. Good copy on you there, my friend. Hello, Mike, and hello to the rest of the group tonight, W6YET.
and grow? Wow. Well, great question this evening. Tonight, I'm doing something a little different than normal. I've got a roll-around that I use for a number of things, but if I have a radio I'm working on, especially a heavy one, I use this roll-around, wooden roll-around, used to be a computer table. And but tonight, it has a TR4 on it. That's what I'm running. And the RV4 remote, and the power supply, and the the box or the cabinet. Anyway, I picked up a bunch of ham gear from one of the guys used to get on AM over here in Spring Valley, but he's moving to Cincinnati. I went over to see what he had to try to help him, and there was just no way I could get it done when he needed to be out of here. So I just wrote him a big fat check and bought it all and sorted it out. And one of the things was this TR4, which wasn't working. This is its maiden voyage here tonight after being repaired. Hopefully, Mike, it sounds okay. Using a 3M microphone, which came with all this stuff that might have been used with this radio. And I still got some work to do on the RV4. So the point is, I'm using this roll-around tonight. But my whole setup, I have 15 stations that I can switch in. For the switches I have the Alpha Deltas, 2 of those to switch radios. And then I've got another switch that switches to a couple things off of that. And then I have and that desk where all the switches are is really over by the modern radio, the 7600, the TS520 Sugar, and the Swan, and the little items over there, 7,000 or what have you. So actually behind the desk I have a switch that switches in 3 different radios to the Dentron amplifier, and then a way to be able to switch that for keying it. And then this is my, over here where this radio is located at the moment on that roll-around, is the Drake station, and mainly on this desk. And but I have several switches here that switches other radios in. I have a homebrew sideband rig, and I have a modern TS50, and the amplifier system for that, and then some other stuff that I can switch in as needed. And right now I have the TR4 tied to that system. Just unplugged one of the radios and plugged it into the TR4. And then the main AM desk is with the Ranger and the main station I use on 75. That one also runs into all those switches, and I do have some switches there that allows me to switch in another AM rig and use the amplifier for it. So I didn't count all that, but probably somewhere around 15 to maybe 17 stations that are able to be switched in on this thing. So that's enough because my 2 minutes are certainly up. So let's give it up there to Jay and see how Jay's doing. NY6L, W6YEC.
All right, thank you, George. W6YEC, NY6L here. Area where it's currently about 61 degrees. Could drop down to 43 tonight. So, okay, wow, what a neat switching setup. Well, mine is kind of semi-simple. I got 3 HF antennas coming in to the rig here, or actually to my rigs, but I got a long wire, I got a HF vertical 40 through 10 meters, and the dipole that I'm talking on right now, which is 80-40 meter dipole, up at about approximately 40 feet or so, and I got all that going into an MFJ Deluxe Versatuner, which is bypassed right now, and just looking at the VSWR and power output of the Kenwood TS830S here, the hybrid transceiver here. Then that goes into an MFJ position coax switch. So that's going to go between the 2 AM operating stations, and I got, let's see here, 1,
2, 3, 4 HF stations here. All of them, of course, vintage, except for the Kenwood TS690, which I'm not using. So it's kind of a simple setup here, and it does work. And only time I use the long wire is actually up here in the high desert. Temporarily, it's great for 160, but it doesn't get out very well. But for AM broadcast DXing, it is fantastic. It's incredible. So that's pretty much the setup I have here too. And by the way, Mike, ZSR, you are 30 to 35 over S9, and full scale on this Kenwood TS830S is 40 dB over S9. So you're just about taking my needle over here in the high desert, and everybody's sounding really just fabulous up here, loud and clear. All right, so next is going to be N4DLA to pick it up. NY6LJ here in Hesperia.
Okay, thanks, Jay. NY6L and the Vintage Sideband Roundtable from N4DLA, Matthew and Arinda, using the Atlas 210X into a 75-meter coaxial dipole up about 60 feet sloping down, Shure 444 microphone. And I'm also a user of the MFJ coax switching. I think it's 6 positions for radios and 6 positions for antennas. I only have 3 HF antennas. This antenna, a 90-foot folded dipole that allegedly works 160 to 6 meters, but it's kind of a resistor on some of those bands, but works very well, 80 to 10 with a flat SWR. So it has a little issues at the high end of, or the CW end of 40 meters. And I have a 3-element 2015 10-meter tri-bander on the garage roof. So that's what I switch between, and the vacant coax switch positions I use for QRP watt meter and a regular QRO watt meter. And I just have this one vintage rig in service right now, so I don't have the super switching station of WJ6W. That was an amazing demonstration switching between those rigs live. That's great. Can do that fast pulling coax out or microphones out, but I do have dedicated CW keys and microphones for all my HF rigs. The Century 21, I was able to get this little splitter RCA cable so I can use the Century 21's Model 670 single lever CW electronic keyer or a straight key, use a Venture RJ1. And I just have to be careful I don't bump the electronic key because it stays powered up, so I get both keys at the same time. So, but just manual switching between the vintage rig and the vintage 1989 10-Tech Corsair 2 is the main HF rig here. And I also have a 40-meter dipole that I was going to use for some QRP experiments with a Pixie CW transceiver, but the raccoons ate one end of it. I don't know where that wire ended up. So I have to get that back in service. So it's kind of an SWL antenna, but it's dedicated strictly to SWL ICOM R71A receiver, so it's not in the switching lineup. So, Mike, for running the net, you're S9 Plus here in Arinda. North, everybody, great signals tonight, really good conditions. K6ZSR, the Vintage Sideband Roundtable from N4DLA.
Okay, Matthew, very good. A very nice signal over here from Arinda. Thanks for checking in this evening. And Jay, you're 30 over 9. Good evening to you. Big signal, but ever since you moved there, you've had a big signal. So that location is surely nice, very nice. And like at the barbecue, you said it's extremely quiet also, which is nice. So congratulations on that, Jay. And say hello to Diana there for me, please. Now, George, I was thinking when you said the roll around table, you ought to get together with Chuck and 6AF with his Lazy Susan. Maybe you guys are onto something there. Stuff that rolls around and stuff. Maybe that's the way vintage is going to be in the future here on the round table. So you guys get together. I think you guys could design something, putting your two heads together. Big signal, George. And okay, on your Alpha Delta switching there, and same with you, Phil. I think you're using mechanical switchers also. Most people are today here so far. So okay, thank you for your inputs, and I'm going to take one last stop. If there's anybody who'd like to be added on the list right now, K6ZSR.
Mike, this is JIB. I have a guest in the shack who'd like to make a transmission, if that's okay.
Oh, you want to make a transmission? Go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to give the shack the mic to a guest friend and let him give you two words about himself.
Hello, everybody. This is Dan from Wakanata, and I'm sitting with my friend Bob, also from Wakanata. He's with them from way back. We play music together, and I'm 61 years old. I'm a little bit older, but we're still from the same group in that. I'm just sitting in as a guest here. We can go and you folks out there. Maybe one of these days I'll take a dive and take all the tests and go and try. So I'll just sit back and thanks for letting me make the transition. That's the problem.
Okay, Mike, I'll turn it back to you. This is WA9JIB.
Okay, very good. And that's Dan, right?
Yes, that was correct.
And then, Dan, I missed it. Are you studying for your license over?
No, I've wanted to for years and years, but you know how life is. It just has so many things you can do in a lifetime. But it's one of those bucket lists I want to get done.
Okay. All right. It's on the bucket list, as they say, right? Okay. Well, good luck with that, Dan. And sure, nice hearing you check in from Bob's QTH. So now, last on the list is Skip K6LGL. Go ahead and take it, Skip. And that will conclude the Vintage Sideband Roundtable after your transmission. So, K6LGL in the group, K6ZSR.
Okay, thank you, Mike. K6ZSR in the Vintage Roundtable. K6 Little Green Light, Skip in Santa Monica by the Bay, and my 902 DM. I have a very basic approach because, as I get older, I may try to simplify things. Use a combination of alpha delta switches for VHF, UHF equipment, antenna switching mostly. Each rig has its own microphone and its own speakers. I don't bother switching that. So when I put on the radio, it's ready to go. All I have to do is transfer the antenna. So that's my philosophy. I want to keep it simple, and I can switch about 6 or 7 rigs fairly simply, including my AM equipment. And they use a combination of B&W rotary switches and also waters. And of course alpha delta, as I said, for that. So that's my approach. So I don't switch microphones, I don't switch speakers. Each automatic is silenced, and of course some I may want to keep it on, like when I'm running AM, then I use the radio support earphones, where I can monitor my own signal as well as look at the oscilloscope. So that's my approach. Nothing very complicated. It's about as simple as I could possibly make it. And there's some room to expand, but my expansion plans are rather limited. Good evening to everybody. Hey, hope to catch you somewhere here in the AM band tomorrow. And Mike, thanks for doing the band, and Dave for doing the early.
Everybody's signal is beautiful tonight. The band is relatively quiet, and so far they got good winter propagation. So thanks for doing the net. Back to you, Mike. And best of 73 to everybody. K6 Little Green Light in Santa Monica by the
WA6JKM with a comment.
Go ahead with the comment.
Yeah, well, thank you very much, Mike. When I heard people talking about speakers, I forgot to mention one of the solutions I came up with for speakers, and that was with vintage Collins equipment. I had 75A2 and a 51J4. And I didn't want to have two Collins speakers because those things are big. I only wanted to use one speaker for two receivers. So the solution was, to my amazement, for easy implementation, I just took the 51J4 output, the 600 ohm output, and put it to the 75A2, a 600 ohm output. The audio output for the speaker, and then I just used the 75A2 8 ohm output for the speaker. So the 51J4 talked to the transformer, output transformer, the 75A2, and the 75A2's output transformer talked to the speaker. And of course, the 75A2 receiver talked directly to the speaker through its 8 ohm output. How about that for simplifying things? WA6JKN.
Yeah, well, I've never heard of that done, but if it works, it sounds pretty good. Okay, well, right, okay, very good, Kevin. Thanks for sharing that. And also, I have to say that remote of yours sounds very, very nice. Very nice. And the big signal, actually, your signal is bigger now than it was when we started. So there you have it. But we've all been fortunate tonight. The conditions really held up so nicely. And for that, we're always appreciative. Well, I'm going to award the Golden Cup here tonight, but boy, it was a tough decision. A real tough decision. So I'm going to award a Golden Cup and a Silver Cup tonight. As you know, the Silver Cup is always at the discretion of the host. So tonight's Golden Cup is going to be awarded to Dave, WJ6W, for his, the main thing is a homebrew switcher that's lasted 20 years. That needs to be recognized. And of course, there's no better way to recognize it than when the coveted Golden Cup Award. So, Dave, and the Silver Award, well, I'll announce that after Dave. So go ahead and take it. WJ6W, K6ZSR.
Well, thank you, Mike. Very good. Well, I'm amazed. Thank you. I appreciate that. And it is amazing it's worked that long. There's actually, when you consider the AM transmitter, the Collins 20V2 and other things involved in this, there are actually many, many relays that have to close depending on what transmitter we're running. And none have ever failed in all that time. It's pretty amazing. I'm shocked myself. So anyway, thank you. I'll put it in a place, the award in a place of prominence here, and thanks a lot. So back to you, Mike. K6ZSR, WJ6W.
Okay, Dave, thank you for that. And, Dave, if there's any chance you take some photos of your box, if it's easy to get to the outside and the inwards, and maybe just a little write-up, that would be so nice to put it on our reflector. That would surely be nice. Now, listen, the Silver Cup is going to go to my friend Dennis, W6DQ, for the sheer complexity of I can't even imagine it. I'm having trouble with one room here. I can imagine what it's like to go 3 or 4 rooms there that I know you have full of equipment. But you did say that you do have a box you're building. You're currently in R&D right now, so you might let us know a little bit about that, Dennis. Over to you, W6DQ. And by the way, I'm off of Zoom. My internet went kaput. I have no idea
Yeah, I noticed that you dropped out on Zoom, and you had a comment up there about your internet being flaky. Oh wow. Well, all I can say is I hope I live long enough to finish the job. Because it's been a long time coming. I've been working on this thing for a long time, but it's allowed me to narrow down the design to the way I want to have it and do that. But I put a comment in Zoom. We were talking about these things. I said I need to write myself a manual so I can remember where to put all the switches. I was just messing around with it a few minutes ago and had something in the wrong spot. So, but I can easily switch back and forth between antennas if I flip a switch here. Hang on. Oh, I know. I switched it off. Never mind. I was going to switch over to another antenna, and I just rerouted it. So I have to remember that I rerouted the other antenna, so I can't do that. But thank you, Mike. I'm going to have to put up another shelf here, I think. Anyway, back over to you. K6ZSR and the Vintage Sideband Roundtable W6DQ.
Okay, very good, Dennis. W6DQ and the Vintage Sideband Roundtable K6ZSR. And, okay, very good, Dennis. Well, keep us informed on the R&D there. I'm really encouraging you guys that are doing all this stuff to really let us know what you're doing by putting it up on the reflector and sharing it with everybody. It's just it just keeps things so much more interesting, and who knows, somebody may want to duplicate it. I for myself am in the designing stages of I have a box here that's 32 channels that will switch relays off the Wi-Fi, and it'll all be done with switching on a computer. I hope it does work. I've just started accumulating the parts. I don't know if it will work. If it doesn't, I'm going to go the Armstrong method, or maybe even the Lazy Susan method. I don't know. I'm going to give it a shot. On paper, it looks like it's going to work. I'm using those inexpensive relays, SRAM relays you get at Mauser. They're about $4 or $5 a piece, but they'll handle a couple of kilowatts. So we're going to do that. It's been an interesting night. I was hoping to hear more about people switching speakers, microphones, and keying lines, and also muting lines and stuff like that. But that's where it gets hairy, and I could see where a lot of you have opted, such as I right now. My present thing is I just go in the back and plug in what I need, or if it's a favorite transceiver or something, I'll just leave the speaker on it, etc. But at least I know that I'm not alone out there. So thank you all for your inputs and for joining us tonight. Thank you very much. So we're going to be signing off here officially at 7:58. 73s, and a good evening to everybody. K6ZSR for the Vintage Sideband Roundtable.
Hey, Mike, a quick comment from W6DQ.
Thank you very much. So we're going to be signing off here officially at 7:58. 73s, and a good evening to everybody. K6ZSR.
Okay, guys. That's the West Coast Vintage stream tonight. Hope you liked it. If you liked it, like, share, subscribe. Mostly just subscribe. I'm running this Wavelength Radio new YouTube deal channel, but I'm also streaming on my other channel, the Internet Gold Miner. But I would like you folks to subscribe over on Wavelength Radio, because it's fresh. It's going to be all ham radio oriented, and that's it. So catch you guys later. Hope you enjoyed it, and there'll be more to come.